Hello and good evening, Music Multiverse listeners, to a special Best of 2023 so far. I put this here in place of panelist favorites as that show will be moved to Fridays. So you'll see the new episode tomorrow, which is going to be a great show as our panelists are picking their favorite greatest songs of all time, 10 of them. But we're throwing in a twist, so you'll have to watch on Friday, tomorrow, to see how that goes. Before I start, my 46 albums of 2023 so far vying for that 23 Best of 23, please, if you have not already subscribed, please do so and click the like button for as many times as you like what we're doing. Any support that is appreciated. And of course, we're always excited about comments. Those are what drive us. Really looking forward to those for tonight. Now on with the special. I'm halfway through the year. Well, a bit more than halfway considering we're in July. I've listened to 222 albums so far this year out of the 452 that I've tagged to listen to. Is that all the albums? No, it's not. But when you think about it, 452 at about halfway, and I didn't pick every album that there is released, there's a ridiculous amount of music that gets put out there. Was that the case in 1950? No. 60? No. 70? No. The 80s? Not even close. Music today can come from anywhere in any vessel. So it's a much larger scope tackle, and I can certainly appreciate anyone and anybody who's trying to do the same thing as I am is listen to as much as possible, although it is impossible to listen to everything. This is not a list of all releases. If I missed a critical darling, I'm obviously going to go back and check it out. That's why I look to other lists and things that people are developing over time. That would be like NPR, Sea of Tranquility, anyone out there. There's a great bunch of people that have good lists together already. And I agree with some of it for sure. But obviously we all are different. What started out with a listen to Wind in the Waves, Racing Hearts, at the first album I listened to this year, starting in January, I think it was January 1 in actuality, to just a few hours ago, I finished listening to Royal Thunder's Rebuilding the Mountain. So how does this list work? I rate on a 5 stars, 5 stars being perfect. There are none so far this year. Highest rating is the number 1, which got 4.5. What do? I have a spreadsheet that I tally all those records, and then I can sort it any way I want. But I do make comments. I'm going to read some of those comments on these 46 records. So if you'll bear with me a moment, I'll get through these 46. I've never done this exercise before. I put this in a relatively respectable order, but really, this could change at any time. While I go through this, you're going to see some that I talk about that I believe might actually be those contenders to move way up the list. But let's start the list way back at 46. We're going to start with Mount Atlas, their album Poseidon. This is a fun rock and roll record that isn't afraid to go to the old school and mess with it. Pick it in the woods and with some keyboards and psych, and then hit the metal to the pedal. The lead track is the giver of the most production and magic, but there's a lot of fun along this. It's a great ride, and it's very, very much in the wheelhouse of your general metal, doom, well, not doom, I would say, but oh my God, I can't, stoner rock. Sorry about that. Number 45 is NF, The Hope, or Hope, I think. It's just that it's got that Eminem, right? He's a pretty good rapper, but he doesn't use all that swear, vulgar, offensive stuff. That's the good part. The newer part of this is he's added indie pop genre to it, and I think he does it better than Eminem in actuality. So if you're into the rap and the hip hop and maybe a progressive style of indie pop, this is a really good listen, and it's just almost as good as his last record, which I thought was really, really good. Then again, of course, this is rap, so it's got to be in your wheelhouse, I guess. Number 44 is Grandson from Canada. I Love You, I'm Trying. This is a great return to them. It's edgy, it's topical, and great doses of hip hop programming mechanisms that drive the record forcefully forward, not only being overly dramatic, but touching more so. His vocal style hits on every point, and even more so on the hits that he wants to make with each track. So number 43 is The Secret Machines, The Moth, The Lizard, and The Secret Machines. Now, this is a darker surprise from the Dallas twosome. This is indie rock alternative. Obviously, they use the bass and drum percussion to really exacerbate their sound. It's kind of their mojo, and they don't give that up here. There's a great instrumental on this, a lot of mood, leading to a depth charge along with guitar feedback that's background worthy of attention. Number 44 or 42 is Haken, progressive rock band. They're probably one of the better, newer progressive rock bands out there. It's wonderfully layered progressive rock. Does remind you of Dream Theater at certain times, but a lot heavier in their mood. The compositions are very deep and rich. This is an album that's going to move up as time goes on. Every time I listen to it, I hear something different. So, it's so well produced. Number 41 might come as a surprise to some of you. It's country. It's Hardy, The Mockingbird and the Crow. This has a gorgeous song on it. I think it's called Stay in the Truck. And then it does have that rock and rockabilly to it. He sort of ends on a fever note of more rock than country. I think this is a well-produced record. Every song sounds very rich. And of course, there are those country style tunes that you would expect, but he still has his own way of delivering it. Number 40 is Mats Gustafsson's Their Power Reached Across Space and Time, ... There's a little bit more in the title. This is an ambient instrumental space horror dream composition. Space horror? Believe me. Well, this is odd. It's intense instrumental inventiveness that you have probably never experienced. This is a one-of-a-kind record in my estimation, and the synth and electronica makes this a wild, intense listen. Number 39 is Debbie Friday with an album called Good Luck. This is some really well-placed developed pop hooks, programming that is intriguing along with the jump start and profundity wrapped in a great little package that seems to be self-aware but not overly self-indulgent, which gives us the vibe of good for a later listen as well. It gets you moving too. Number 38 is a familiar band, City in Color, the Dallas Green project. You can't complain about a City in Color record, and there's always some depth in the songwriting as well as the delivery of everything that goes on around it. So I'm okay with it, but I'm not smitten. A Little Mercy fits my bill, and it takes the fifth song to get there. So is it going to start to get on me a little bit more? I'm going to start to enjoy it. I'm not quite sure if it's going to reach the tops like other records of theirs have in the past. Number 37 is Archetypes Collide, self-titled. The band lives up to its name, delivering a debut blurring and, well, cluster fucking the lines of metal and heavy rock. I think they engage it very well, kind of give you that Meteora of Linkin Park kind of feel. The production and flow of the record, while common to the practice of the genre, it's still stellar. And while sometimes it's similar, it remains captivating. It's not overly repetitive. This is a good opening act if this is their opening act. Number 36 is The Golden Grass, and their album Life is Much Stranger. If this doesn't pleasantly reek of 70s classic guitar rock, I'll have to have my ears examined. I know who you're fooling, no one. But the tricks is here that it's done so well. It's produced in such a way that's really throwing back an attitude of reverence and complete all-in harmonies, crafted so well. And cowbell, yeah, baby. Who can't deny cowbell, right? Number 35 is Metallica's 72 Seasons. I don't think I need to talk much about it, but it does grow on you. And at an hour and 17 minutes, it's still a heavy record and a heavy listen, but the band really brings it. The flow of the songs is really, really well done. That epic one at the end, that might be the downfall in my opinion, but then again, it's still a great record. Number 34 will go completely the opposite of that to Thibaut Cauvin, Cauvin, Bach. Gorgeous interpretation of not the easiest Bach on guitar. There's strays from the traditional, which I like, and the recording is blastingly good in reverb and distance. There's no question that this was done at some sort of castle, some great location. I really, really think it's cool. But sometimes the emotion is lost in that flow. I know that's not going to make much sense, but once you listen to it, you may. But as a classical record, which there aren't too many on this list, this is superb. Number 33, let's go to Jason Beiler and the Baron von Belsick Orchestra. This is Postcards from the Asylum. When this record started out this year, it was really high on my list and started to drop a little bit and then come back up. It's probably because of just the total mass of stuff I'm listening to. But this is a ginormous recording from the Saigon Kick frontman. It's really got some oomph and grizzle on it. And I think 70 minutes almost wanted progressive like edge with keyboards and oddly named guest musicians as to hide their identity, apparently. This is might be one to come back to at year's end that'll make the list. I like the cover too. Number 32 is Bella White, among other things. This is alt country songstress. Has a very, very throwback recording style. You'll understand when you know, that old school microphone, that grizzle, you know. Vocal honesty is here, no problem with the lyrical propensity to suck you in. And what you get is even more as she weaves her vocal spell over you in that twangy alt country vibe. This is a 60s pitch and it's delivered solid. Let's see, number 31 is Josh Ritter and the album Spectral Lines. This is definitely a much more definitive attempt at a singer-songwriter return to his greatness. His first record that I listened to was Animal Years, I believe. That was just stupendous. And this one hits back on that. But there's the give and take between it and the attention to detail and the emotion and accompaniment. And it's delivered so well when he does it with little more effort, it seems to me, in this one. There's a little more effort to it all. Number 30 is Dead Quiet. Their album is called 4, IV, the number 4, and Roman numeral. Metal on the edge of piano, keyboard, and guitars against a traveled gravel vocalist will come that belt out old school. It's engaging, it's well-paced. The 80s production is right on, but will probably turn some people off because they're not going to understand the homage that's being played on it. It's a nice it's a niche market that they're trying to get into, that they're into. And they really ripping it up and bringing it really well. Number 29 is John Mellencamp's Orpheus Descending. While this has a dark, raspier Mellencamp that a lot of people from the old school are not going to be either pleased with or understand. I put a quote that's, I'm complaining about shit that happened because, you know, of liberalism, it sounds like to me. But the fact of the matter is, it's well put together. It's that Rain on the Scarecrow, Blood on the Plow kind of feeling from the songs. It's emotionally delivered, and it's spot on when it does that. No matter what your belief system is, what he's saying is sort of honest and obvious. Really, an integral part of this storytelling is the violinist's return, which is Lisa Germano. Her return is making this work even better. So kudos to them for getting back together, and I look forward to this one moving up a little bit too, because I do love Mellencamp. Number 28, Church of Misery. Wow, talk about going another way. Born Under a Mad Sign. Okay, warning. This album is all about really, really bad men who did really bad things in the real world. Hell, they even have the recordings of some of it. This is a harsh listen. No Mary Poppins mass production to be able to move on with your day here. You're probably going to have to, you know, rinse your ears out when you're done. It's like you watch too many hours of Special Victims Unit. But this is really well delivered, and it's a burner. Number 27 is Duskwood, The Last Voyage. It's a kick-ass blues metal record that loves to hit the riff, the floor, and then back again. First listen seems very well produced. The question is, does it get better? Can it be better as it moves on? And I'm finding it to be really good as I keep listening to it. Number 26 is Olivia Jean, or Jean, I really don't know, because I've never checked the pronunciation. Raven Ghost, a complete fun rockin' record with a hint of that pop psychedelia and great production. I do love it when the organ comes in. It's astounding. Her vocals are so well done, and they're genre-defining moments that you take real notice and appreciation of. It's the perfect length. It's a 38-minute record to some degree, if I remember correctly. And I want to say it's produced by Jack White because I believe they're either married or boyfriend and girlfriend. I didn't really look that much into it, but I did see that. Number 25, we'll stick in the females, Louise Post. Not familiar? Well, that's I'll give it to you in a second. Sleepwalker is the name of the record. This is Veruca Salt alumni. It's a fantastic band that can work that she's established here. She's found kind of her past and new present to place and deliver songwriting from fun, grunge, rock, and pop, and deeper stuff here for slower, kind of real truth, history, and inspiration in a female presence. It's fun, it's popping, and it doesn't harken too much to her past. So I think this is super good. That's why it's up there at 25. Number 24 is Pat Metheny, Dreambox. No mystery to him. Oh, this time, though, he's just so much softer. I believe he calls it his quiet guitar, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this is just, it's almost like he had mics hidden in his fingers. It's truly a remarkable listen. Maybe it's more of a production astoundingness than it is his playing, but his playing is still superb. Axis Ensemble, Pilgrimage to Lost Carcosa is number 23. This is 3 hours, or I'm sorry, 3 songs, 1 hour and 37 minutes. Is that even digestible? It is. There are parts, excuse me, where you get lost in it all, but I'm still enjoying every minute of it. The last track has some breaks that I don't like, but nothing falls apart. Excuse me, I'm trying to get through all this a little long, huh? Number 22 is Moby, his Resound New York City. Let's face it, when he puts together string arrangements to his own music, it's pretty classic. So well done. He even calls in Margot Timmons and Damian Wardo on this. Margot Timmons from Cowboy Junkies, as they do a Neil Young cover during this. This production is really well put together. It's delivered extraordinarily by him. And you kind of remember the songs once you start to hear them. Number 21, new one, King Howl, Homecoming. I've already talked about this on the on Album Review Saturdays. This is a hard rock and blues record, full force. Its concepts is very strong, traveling, and I love that harmonica and the slide guitar in it. These boys aren't messing around, from Sardinia, Italy. Number 20 is Giant Brain, Gray to Gray Day. Giant Brain is a new prog kind of band you should be tuning into. It's got a deep, rich layering of music along with a straightforward delivery with large aspirations, some fantastic, some soloing amidst the futuristic temperament and space rock flow that mediates the busy background. The last track is the only downfall of the record, but considering its conceptual nature, it's probably fittingly made to be that way. So it's a great listen at number 20. Number 19, a band I didn't know, A Certain Ratio. The album name is 1982. The cover even reeks of 1982. Pretty cool. This is a fabulously funky, groovy, twisty, nostalgic flip record that's R&B old hip hop, delivered with funk jazz, with great flow, vocally dazzling from start to finish. The tempo, the hi-hat production, electronically modified instances, and horns are really top-notch. I dare you to not feel the need to move on this record. And I feel it's probably going to move up from number 19. Number 18 is the Mars Volta, Que Dios, Que me maldiga mi corazón. This is the acoustic version of the 22 album. I'm astounded by it. It really made the vocals much more dramatic to me. I could hear more things. It was just so grooving. I got to say, I feel this is much more superb than anything I've ever reviewed of theirs in recent years. They should be doing this again. At 17 right now, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, Angels in Science Fiction. The vocals on this record in indie experimental R&B Marvin Gaye style is wonderfully done. Shallow pieces that move marvelously through each song, giving you hints and twinges of that throwback dance hall days, if you get my meaning. It's a slower, tight chest-to-chest dance of emotion, love, and togetherness. Really good record. Number 16, sentimental favorite of mine, Gord Downie and Bob Rock, Luster Parfait. Obviously, Gord Downie did this recording before, long before he was in as much trouble as he was in, and died of a brain tumor. This is from 2010, and really, so we can hear that Bob was able to get the best out of Gord. It's truly a great record, and I will say A Moment is a Wild Place might be the best non-tragically hip Gord Downie song ever written. So masterfully relevant and heartfelt, even in the throes of rock progression. Check it out. Number 16, Luster Parfait from Gord Downie and Bob Rock. Number 15, The Smashing Pumpkins, free album, Autumn, or Autumn. I reviewed this. It's a rock opera. It's epic. It's long. It's beautiful. It's tremendous in its achievement, but I'm understanding that it's deep for some people. But this is progressive, dream, all kinds of stuff on this. And the storytelling, you're going to need that time to do it, and read the liner notes, because it's very very intricate, and it actually goes with the other records prior, like A Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. So Autumn by Smashing Pumpkins at number 15. Number 14, Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden. Sleep Token. What can be said about Sleep Token that people don't know about already? This is probably one of the deepest followed bands on the planet. If they have shirts on sale, they're gone already. Too bad. They're gone. The albums, they're gone. Records, everything. They just sell out. This band is really taking off. This unknown musician names band has completely fucked and blended genres in a splendid and often emotionally wrenching cover. They can do hip hop, alt metal, progressive rock, right back to straight ahead alternative and hard rock. Even there's grunge in there. The vocals stretch in all kind of directions. It's truly a Drakean, devil-sucking soulness speak to guttural nevermoreness. A spectacle of a record that's compressed and exploded into nearly every track. At 14, I don't think it's, going to stay there. Top 10, more than likely. Each time I listen to it, I'm just blown away. Number 13, Bar Italia. Tracy Denham is the name of the album. Let's go, maybe The Cure meets the post-punk indie sensibility. I know it's not Italy, it's London. But the level of bass and attention to detail of this simple record is truly sort of mesmerizing. It catches you off guard, leaving you slightly entangled with that Nirvana, maybe Pavement and Julian Baker. It's deliberate while depressing and melodic. It's deeper than that, and sinister without sounding sinister, if that makes any sense. It's a record you should check out. Probably won't be on most people's lists. Here's one that won't be. At my number 12 is the Barnstormers. Now, I already reviewed this on Album Review Saturday. Jimmy Barnes has a marvelous voice, hasn't changed, and I don't know how old he is. I won't even take a guess, but he's up there. All right. And he's delivering us with Jules Holland and the guy from Stray Cats. This band is just rockabilly, 60s rock, thumping piano, dangling guitars. Barnes giving it this soulful blues rock. It's the best vocal of the year, honestly. The band is tight, and the strut and the stray is there, with the Catman's drum to a frenzy of songs that range right up to the end and fit for the king, because you do get that feel that Elvis is somehow in the room. Number 11 is High Priest Invocation, completely the opposite. This is a solid alternative heavy metal record with a constant sound that's maybe goes throughout the whole record, I think. Yeah, it's gripping. It's heavy riffs. It's dark melodic instrumentation. The vocal is constant and consistent, but nothing groundbreaking there. But that's okay, because this album hits, and it hits hard. At number 10, it's Bob Dylan, Shadow Kingdom. This is a strong record from him. This is not the vocal style we're used to, but this is him taking his live performance and putting it to a record, which is usually what we do the opposite of, right? I think it's very well put together. Dylan is singing and sort of foregoing that nasal thing he's been more accustomed to. This is slow blues, modern stripped intentions, but it keeps growing on you. Forever Young kind of was the only miss on that record for me, but I every time I go back to it, I don't skip it. Number 9 is a surprise. It's Extreme 6, which is it their 6th album? Probably is. Why would they name it 6? Wow. Okay. Did they just come back and hit a triple, which is hard to accomplish in a home run? There is a splendid controlled solo and clever shifts in the metal of hard rock, alternative roots that they have, and they do a magnificent job of doing all that stuff. And obviously everyone's familiar with Rise and that wicked guitar solo from Nuno. So if you don't know the record, I would check it out just with the guitar solo alone. Will it stay where it is? I'm not sure. It's starting to wear on me a little bit, but it's still a great record, and I'll always say that. Number 8, big surprise for me here. It's Cowboy Junkies, Such Ferocious Beauty. I was expecting a little bit more of the same from them. Instead, I got something as a throwback more, a darker record, kind of going back to their beginning. It's a mesmerizing kind of deeper sound. Even the lesser instrumentations, there's still humming and purpose in the distance and noise and silence. The only real issue was that the delay in Blue Skies there's a 20-second. I don't know why. Maybe it was just the recording I had. The lyrics are amazingly arranged in and out of the myriad of emotion from her timeless delivery, that's Margot Timmons, and the band's attention to dynamic details of orchestration in simple and even, I don't know, production that's ambient at times, it seems. This is some really well put together material. It might be their best ever. At number 7, Tiki Tiki. There's 2 colons between the T-E-K-E and the T-E-K-E. The name of the record is Haggadah. I gotta have it. Try to find it. This album strikes you instrumentally in the progressive depths of this band's musical soul. It's nearly flawless and uncompromising in sound, some of which you could classify in a prog and psych element. They shove down your ear hole in 41 minutes. 41 minutes. That's hard to do with a lot of sound. One problem. I don't know the vocals. Lyrical delivery, I can't speak to, as the band is singing in a different language. Don't worry, more on that coming. Do you really fault a band for singing in their native language? I'm not faulting them. It can't be perfect because I don't know what the words are. Number 6, The Cry. The Cry. This dynamic 3-piece is centered around a new kind of ambient classical delivered by Christine Ott. Christine Ott is Omnis. I've already talked about this record. If you want, look back to some of the Beyond Your Radio that it's on, where I talk about the actual organ piano she plays that uses rings. I can't think of the name of it right off the top of my head. Metronome seems right to me, but I don't remember my pronunciation because the keys are not in front of me. Check the album out, The Cry, The Cry. Type it that way so you don't get the other band, The Cry, that maybe isn't together. I don't know. Somebody should get sued because they don't have the same name. Number 5, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Petrodragonic Apocalypse. Wow. Kick it to the metal overdrive on this one. This mathematically brilliant band that's been, they pop a record every month, I think, really does this rock and roll psychedelia and progressive metal to the burn. In the top 10 of the year, I don't think it's going to leave it. I keep putting it on and I just still am mesmerized by most of it. This has everything a metallurgist would truly love. If you haven't heard this record and you're thinking they're just like a psychedelic jam band, get ready. Number 4, Aaron Jones. That's A-Y-R-O-N. Chronicles of the Kid. This is solid hard blues. This is an album that's quintessentially his best. He charges his writing head on, and his reality, he lets you know what he was born from, what he came from, the woes he had, but he delivers this in like a Nickelback meets Gary Clark Jr., Lenny Kravitz, and it is on when it starts. The first 4 tracks are fantastic, heavy blues, but delivered in the blues fashion, not psychedelic rock or anything of that nature. The storytelling is excellent. And, when he sings, you're thinking maybe he's the male version of Katy Perry in the realm of relatability. Strong record. Number 3, speaking of strong records, Queens of the Stone Age in Times New Roman. Play on words? Absolutely. The album? Fantastic. And that absolution. There's no question that Mr. Holmes, he's Bowieing up. His vocals are getting better and better each record. It's really well put together. There's all kind of playfulness in everything that's going on. I think the only drawback, I think it might not get better with every listen. You might find things to be a little bit common. It might fall off a little bit, but I'm the first time I put this record on, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculously good. And the second time, I'm like, yes, still good, still good. But there were parts of it that I was like, okay, maybe I was a little bit so excited about it. Happens, right? After you listen to everybody else's stuff. And it's also a genre that's kind of getting beat to death today, in at least my list, right? You're looking at my list and you're thinking, geez, where are the pop songs? Where's the classical? Where's the ambient? Where is where's more of the jazz? I mean, I've only got one jazz record in there too. Number 2, let's talk again about language. The name of the band is Tinarwin, and their album is Amatsu. This is a gorgeous recording. This is true electronic blues recorded avant-garde style. But for them, it's kind of commonplace. But here in the production, in care of Daniel Lanois, we get a little bit more texture and a lot more feel from the recording of the vocals and the sadness, the hope, and the realities that surround their sharp, unstoppable desert jazz rock blues band that's totally incredible in their story. I mean, this is the Sahara. This is a bad part of the Sahara, and there's a lot of warring and factions that have gone on. I want to say Bali is the area. They're singing in their native tongue, but you hearing it in the native tongue, it has an emotional delivery that you understand. You really, it envelops it. And then, of course, that electric guitar with it. And then Daniel Lanois playing steel guitar on top of it, too. It's just so, I don't know how he finds to join these people. I mean, I knew about Tinarwin at least a decade ago, and I've been listening to him for quite some time. But then to hear Daniel Lanois with them, I mean, obviously it's nice to say, oh, geez, I'm in the right company, when I'm listening to stuff. Kind of the going down the rabbit hole, and you find out somebody else is going down that rabbit hole that's a real cool producer. Finally, the number 1 album, the one that got 4.5 stars, band out of Vancouver, probably won't surprise many of you who followed the channel, and that is Hail the Void. Their album Memento Mori, not to be confused with Depeche Mode's release of the same year. Not that that's a bad record either. Early prognosis, top of 23, still is. What a metal psych riff with the vocals are so fantastic and engaging. The only half-star deduction is the start of the record. I don't understand why they did that. I don't know what you want to call it. It's just, it doesn't help you start off the record. After that, it's a blitzkrieg of fantastic playing. They must be recognizable above all when the dust settles. Of course, you can say, well, Margie's they're Canadian. They're Canadian. I don't know what it is about Canada. They just put out really good shit. Whether it's rock, whether it's progressive rock, whether it's progressive metal, country, all country. Anyway, that is mine 46 so far of 2023. Where will they stay? Where will they be? I'm hoping to find out. This is the first time I've done this, so I can't wait to look back at this list when I get to the end of the year and have to do 23 of 23. And I don't do honorable mentions. So I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for subscribing. Please comment. Tell me what you're thinking about. Maybe I missed something. Put me down a rabbit hole, right? There's always something to listen to that's coming out. I'm really excited for what's coming. But I hope that this list, and I'll put that in the pinned top comment, the entire list, because I know this was a lot to digest. Happy listening, everyone.